think we have a true identity. Period.
That's a pretty good way to start this edition of the BlueWhite Tailgate podcast. We have an identity, and it's Frank Bodanti of the York Daily Record, Mike Joseph's Gross Rational Product, and myself, Andrew Kalissa, a couple great sports writers, Heisman voters, and me. We got a great show ahead of you. Later on coming up, we got Eric LeGrand, the great Rutgers defensive lineman and inspiration to us all. He's going to be joining us. I'm rocking the LeGrand Coffee House t-shirt. Of course, we're going to be talking Penn State versus the Scarlet Knights and also recapping Penn State versus Nebraska. 37-10. Penn State now one win away from eligibility. And Terry Smith has all the love in the world coming from the left. And Mike Robinson coming out. He rocking a 409 button. That's all over the place on the internet. Some haters out there didn't like it. Guys, just a wild weekend, top to bottom, from the moment the Nittany Lions stepped into the tunnel to right now. Really, everything is just swirling around Penn State football.
Well, I mean, it's been every week since Oregon, really, right? I mean, in all different forms and fashions.
Yep.
I mean, I never experienced, well, that was an exciting game with everything. You never experienced anything like the Northwestern situation. Then you go to UCLA. Okay, we could keep going on and
yeah.
That was just the latest chapter, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's just you just keep shaking your head at how crazy things have gotten. But you know, one thing we could say for sure is that Penn State played, I think, their best game of the year, and they really have gotten better. And the football team has gotten better. And I you know, when people say, "Well, we found our identity," well, you know, if you can block people and run the ball and throw the ball down the field, well, that's everybody's identity who can do it. That's everybody's identity who could do it in football everywhere on the planet. They just have improved. The team has improved. I think Terry Smith gets some credit for that. And again, as we've mentioned a number of times now, he has at least made himself an element of the discussion about who the next coach is going to be.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a minute. Frank, don't you think it's a little, going off of what Mike said, don't you think it's a little bit different right now? We didn't see a lot of like different lineups, different, formations, I should say, different like into things. And it seems like that's all been, you know, nixed. And it's just, we're going to line up. We're going to run power football. We're going to run counters. Nick Singleton, you are better with the ball in space. Simplify it, throw it out to him. Things like that. It's just a little bit different right now the last 3 weeks. And we have to say the caveat is the opponents are not at the top level of which they were earlier in the year at times.
Yeah, I think part of it is that they've just embraced what their strengths are. And it goes back to the beginning of the season where you kind of wondered, why are they not leaning into the things they're simply good at? Because it's a little bit different than what it was last year. And yet, you know, so you have this offensive line, give them the confidence that you're going to run the best running back behind them, and you're going to make a statement, and you're going to come at the other team with a lot of pressure up front on defense. It's like, it seems like they tried to make things way more difficult than it was. And now it's what we expected. And it's, like you said, maybe a little more simplified, and it works because whether it's Indiana or whether it's Michigan State or whoever, Penn State has an advantage up front. I mean, they played Indiana tougher than maybe anybody else all year and should have won the game.
No question.
Okay.
No question.
The number 2 team in the country, the team that's like leading the world in offense. They did a number on them, and they're just doing what they're good at. I don't know why it took them so long. I think Terry doesn't understand why it took them so long. So,
yeah, if it was up to him, we'll find it. But again, you got to look at quality of opponent. I think. I mean, if you can block people, if you can win up front, it's pretty simple. And I don't know that they can win up front. Certainly not with this kind of decisiveness against the best teams that are on their schedule. Right?
Absolutely. This is Terry Smith. Mike, you alluded to it about Terry Smith putting his name right up there. When you got Michael Robinson saying it on NBC, the Twitter world, the Instagram world, everybody is all in on Terry Smith. The Letterman, I had Letterman up as far back as Indiana say stuff to me. He pulled that one out. This is Terry from yesterday, Monday, talking about a head coach and his name being with other candidates.
No one knows Penn State better than me. Of all the candidates that are out there, I know the history of Penn State. I know the culture, the DNA. I know the locker room. I know administration. I think I'm a good leader. I think I'm a leader of men. And, that will take care of itself when the time comes.
Make this the early 90s to the mid 90s. Terry Smith is your guy. Right?
Well,
for me, it's
maybe. It depends who else they could get. And there's been enough secrecy to this process that we really don't know who's in the hunt. I mean, I haven't heard anything about this in the last few days, as far as whoever else is involved. I think it's interesting that he said he knows administration. The cornerbacks coach knows administration. Really? Okay, maybe he does, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And the other thing that's interesting is that his sort of rhetoric, the things he was saying about his own candidacy changed so much in the last week. It went from I'm just proud and happy and humbled to be here to I deserve this job. I feel like I really deserve this job, and I'm kind of stating my case. And at one point on Monday, he said, "Well, I'm not going to speak up for myself. Who will?" I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. So yeah, it's been an interesting change, I think.
Well, he's been emboldened, and I think if he believes at any point that he would like this job, that he thinks he can do this job, then at some point, I mean, we're at the end game here. Wouldn't you want to at least give it a shot, I guess? I mean, if you're him, like, come out and tell the people that you want to. Don't just let Michael Robinson and maybe the fans speak for you, because
I don't think there's anything wrong with him doing it. Yeah.
He knows. I mean, he knows. I still think his chance of becoming the head coach is about 10%, if that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay. So if he knows that, he feels it, right? So go after it. Yeah. Make it uncomfortable if you need to for Pat Kraft, because I think that's what's happened, is that now this is uncomfortable. Because here's the deal. If we get to where the big fish don't go for Penn State, and suddenly Pat Kraft is down to who he really likes, Bob Chesney at JMU, or Terry, or the next two picks. Okay, Bob Chesney may have all these positives, but can you imagine the alumni, the Letterman, the fan base, if suddenly it comes down to those two and they pick Bob Chesney over Terry Smith? There's going to be there could be a minor uproar, a major uproar or backlash. I mean, perception. That's right. Who's the better coach? I don't know who would be the better coach at that point for Penn State. I think they're good in different ways, but you see what I'm saying? I mean, some people would say, did you just fire James Franklin to hire his assistant? I mean, that's one crazy way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's either way, there's going to be some complaints. So I think maybe if you're Kraft, you just say, so what? I'm doing what I got to do. And the other thing I wanted to say about this is, Terry Smith said, well, the time will come. Well, the time will come soon.
Oh,
we're on the.
I think it's coming by Sylvie.
There's a little bit of urgency going on here. A lot of things could happen in the next week, for sure.
Yeah.
You think it's Sunday, Frank?
Well, I think as soon as we get to the weekend, as soon as we get to Saturday, and maybe Saturday into Sunday, I think they will have their answers. Absolutely. Because I think they're not, I don't think at that point they're waiting. I mean, what are they going to wait for at that point? You're going to know, for example, if you think you're have a shot at Kalen DeBoer from Alabama, for example, you're going to know by Saturday night if Alabama is probably, I mean, you're probably going to know if they're going to the playoffs, right? I mean, if they lose to Auburn, they may not be going to the playoffs, right? If they beat Auburn, they probably are. And
they probably are. They almost certainly are. Yeah.
So
I think here's something December 21st.
What?
After the December 21st.
You think they're going to wait till December 21st to name a coach?
I think December 21st.
They want to get that Penn State basketball game at Hershey out of the way.
That could be it. It's a big one. Penn State Pitt. Nothing's bigger. Nothing's bigger. Coach Roach. Hashtag bingo. Yeah, okay. That's just my.
Hey, Andrew, explain that a little bit. I'm interested in that. Explain that a little bit. Why December 21st?
If there's a big fish on the reel, you don't want to reel it in too fast or you're going to snap the line. So if things that we've heard by talking to people in press boxes and things like that, the Ole Miss statement kind of threw me for a loop about we're going to have an announcement after the Egg Bowl. So maybe I'm wrong on that timeline, but we all talked before the game. We were all together before the game. And I said, I thought after the first round in the college football playoff, and then this statement comes out. So that's why I was thinking that if you have a big fish on the line and Jimmy Sexton was going to pull off this magical twist of coaches rotating into other jobs, I thought it would come out the 21st. Now I'm going to stay by because I said that on Friday and I said that Saturday, even though that statement came out. Nick Saban talked about the statement, but I'm just going to stand by what I originally said. So that does complicate it a little bit for me. I think I put it at a 30%. I may be down to like a 10% confident on this happening, but that's just one of my theories that if you have a big fish on the line that may be in the playoff, you wait till that first round of the playoff, then maybe something happens. Because at the same time, I don't think Pat Kraft is putting too much stock into the early signing period because of the way this era of college football is. And that these guys could go anywhere. And if somebody changes, it's more like NFL free agency. I know recruiting is important, but it's a hell of a lot less important than what it used to be. So
yeah, and I don't think you can. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think you can name a guy who you can. I don't think you can give yourself a deadline like that. Kiffin's situation is different because it feels like he could be sticking them up for money. Okay, we offered you this big deal. Now decide, do you want to be at Ole Miss or not? Supposedly they're offering him dollars that are very comparable to what LSU and Florida's offered him. So they're saying, we're tired of hearing this crap. Pull the trigger one way or the other so we know. That's a little different than what Penn State is going through.
No.
Who has the
I think if Lane Kiffin makes the move to LSU and that comes on Friday or Saturday, dominoes then will fall. Jimmy Sexton dominoes will fall. We will have musical chairs, and I think that's going to set it off, and then that would provide the cover, so to speak, for say like a Kalen DeBoer to make a move, even if his team is in the playoffs, because this guy's already done it.
And I don't think Lane is going to be held up by that statement either. What are they going to do? Yank the contract? Can you imagine like Lane saying, I'm not ready to make the decision. The administration say, okay, well then you're done. That leaks out. And then Lane's like, okay, well now I'm going. They lose the entire fan base. Like Lane could do what Lane wants. Like the administration saying we're going to have a statement or whatnot. It all comes down to Lane. Nobody's going to put Lane up against the wall or in a corner and say, we need a statement.
And Lane, has Lane ever coached in the playoffs? Has he coached a playoff team at all?
No.
Right. And the whole world is stopping for this guy and paying more money for this guy who's never been there yet.
Well,
even James Franklin's been there, right?
Whatever happens is a coach is going to have to retain a roster, whether it's Terry Smith, player of them unconditionally. The big uglies have the sign. Pat Kraft saw that sign unfold it. To me, Pat Kraft looked uncomfortable. It was like a nervous laugh down on the sidelines, started seeing these things. at the end of the game. I don't know if that's true. It's just the feeling I got standing near Patrick Kraft. Here's Dennis-Sutton about senior day, what was good for him, and what he would say to the younger guys.
For my journey, Penn State, staying here 4 years was best for me. Like I said, this university has given me a ton, and I'm very grateful. But for some players, it might be best for them to leave. They might not play here. So everybody got to do what's best for them. My opinion, I would suggest Penn State to anybody. But I think everybody has to do what's best for them. Same thing what coaches do.
Brutally honest, too. And, I just got the feeling that a lot of these young guys buying into what the older guys are saying about this place. And if the certain guy is hired, Terry Smith or somebody else, I don't think this mass exodus is going to be as dire as a lot of people have been saying, at least on the interwebs.
I don't have any. I don't know. I don't have any sense of that at all. I mean, to me, that was Dennis-Sutton saying, "Yeah, do what you want to do." I mean, I didn't see that as that emphatic a statement in favor of staying.
No, we haven't really had somebody come out yet and make the emphatic statement that I was, as a reporter, you're looking, or maybe even a fan, you're looking for. Same, same with the bowl game. So they win on Saturday. How many of these guys like Dennis-Sutton actually play in the game? I mean, in years past, you'd think none of them almost would play. Now, would this year be a little different? I mean, they certainly seem energized down the stretch, but the bowl game could be different,
No, the bowl game's going to be after you have a couple weeks off and you're thinking about what's next, and it changes a lot.
I mean, Terry said he hopes everybody's mostly going to play. Amari Campbell today said he made it sound like he would play, and he's a leader on defense, but he's not like the preseason All-American guys, right? Kaytron, Nick Singleton, Denai, Zane Durant, Zachy Wheatley, or would any of those guys play?
Yeah. Well, excellent point. I could be way off in reading that. I'm just trying to kind of go on body language and a lot of that stuff. Penn State wins. We hand out player of the game. We kind of lost that in the middle when, the ship was taking on water. Well, the ship kind of sunk, didn't take on water. But it's being refloated right now. So Lions roar, players of the game. I'm going to go first. Mine's Terry Smith. Terry Smith is getting it. Terry Smith stepped into the fray. Mighty big ones. Marbles from Major League wearing the Joe Paterno button. I know that has nothing to do with the game, and I know there's theories out there where he's doing it to appease like Paterno-ites, and some national media people are ripping him, stuff like that. I think they're off base on it. So that's my player of the game. And then I'm going with Nick Singleton because I think he's going to be overshadowed with everything Kaytron did and everything. I think Nick Singleton played a great game. The helmet, the paint popping off. He's the guy that, did a lot of good work along with Hudson as well. Had the big block on the touchdown early in the game. I think needs to be shouted out. So they're my three Ryans: Terry Smith, Nick Singleton, and Hudson.
You're always going off base. I love it. God, I love it.
Go, Frank. You're up.
Me. Okay. I'm going to go first off, Ethan Grunkemeyer, who was kind of lost a little bit to me in a sense, right? Because of what Kaytron did and Terry and the whole atmosphere. But I mean, Ethan Grunkemeyer, he only threw 12 passes, but if you're only going to throw 12, he almost every one was like really good. I mean, he completed 11. He also had a couple others that would have been completions that he got pass interference calls on. I thought, and I want to say this, is I thought his best pass of the season, at one point he was pressured and he started rolling, started running. And to me, for the first time in his career, he kept his eyes downfield and he didn't run and he stopped and he threw to a wide open Devontae Ross down the sideline. And I had not seen him do that yet. Now, maybe he did, but I had not noticed that. And I thought, wow, that's a step, man. I mean, because that's what you're going to have to do. I mean, we've seen other Penn State quarterbacks become really good at that. Trace McSorley was one. But that has to be in your arsenal, right? Because he can't outrun people. He's not huge to stand back there. He's got to be able to do a little bit of it all. And I thought another step for the kid who, if he stays, I think a good bet he's your starting quarterback next year.
Yeah, I know exactly what play you're talking about, Frank. And another thing about that may have been, now I didn't watch film on this or anything, but it may have been that Devontae Ross did a great job of breaking off his route and kind of running with, kind of seeing what Grunkenmeyer was doing. That was a significant play, I thought. But well, I can't believe you guys left me with Kaytron Allen, so I'll take Kaytron Allen, and I don't even need to explain why. I think it's interesting that he has apparently had significant personal growth since he's been at college, and Smith has talked about that a lot. And but he's just a great player.
Tell me this: how good is Kaytron Allen to you guys beyond Penn State? Is he All-American quality? Is he a national type running back? What do you guys have any thoughts?
I would think he will get maybe like third team All-American, something like that. I mean, the guy at Notre Dame, I think everybody perceives him as one of the best players in the country. And then the guy at Missouri's had a big year. There's a couple other ones I'm blanking on. And I think he could be first team All Big Ten. I can't think of anybody in the Big Ten that I think would obviously be ahead of him, and they're probably going to name 2 or 3 running backs, right, first team All Conference. So that's where I would put him.
Okay.
I think he'll probably get second team All Big Ten, just because he plays for Penn State and the year they have, and I think they'll knock him down. Maybe kid from Iowa going up to first team. But I think he should be. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually got second team All-American nationally, if people paid attention and watched film.
I'd say they start rolling Rutgers in the second half. I'm Terry. I keep him in there. I get him over 200 yards. I do it. I think you do it. And give him a chance to actually earn some national attention that maybe he deserves, and he's not going to get unless he has some kind of number. And if you do something like that, you look at his second half of the year starting at Iowa. If he rolls off good this weekend, that's a pretty impressive second half. Maybe as good as about anybody.
Excellent point. Here's 2 sound bites from Kaytron Allen that are 2 sound bites totally not related, but I just like them, so I put them together. Kaytron Allen on family and also being at the top of the Penn State record books.
Yeah, I had to go see my mom first, man. She deserved just all the things she sacrificed for us as kids, me and my 2 brothers, things like that. So she deserved everything. I wish her name could go here too, but I came in here like my freshman year. I didn't think about the wrestling record. I just wanted to make a difference for here, for my team, for us to win, and hopefully bring a national. But I mean, unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I just came here with a mindset. I need to play, and do things on the field, and play for my mom and things like that.
But he seems like a good dude. He seems like a guy you'd want to have on your team, right? I mean, and not just because we know how he plays.
He's very shy. Is that Terry Smith on the phone? Is Terry Smith calling one of you guys? Maybe James Franklin?
Oh,
no?
Absolutely.
Hey, he liked one of my tweets earlier today, so thanks a lot, Coach Terry Smith. Kaytron is very shy. He was very bashful with the media early on, and he's opened up to us later on. In fact, some of the guys would hit him about it. But no, I mean, that was just talking about his mom on senior day going right over. And so it's a good moment. I tweeted out, sports is the ultimate reality show, and that's what Coach Smith liked. And it is. You can't write the scripts that sports give you.
Well, that gives too much credit to reality shows. Sports is the only meritocracy in human life, or plant life, or insect life.
Just a reminder: in a couple minutes, we got Rutgers broadcaster and former Rutgers football player, the great Eric LeGrand, coming up as well. And folks, make sure you're just liking, follow us on YouTube, tell your friends about us, free podcast. Try to bring on some great guests for you guys and give you a little bit different look at Penn State football and the Big Ten. Before we get to Eric, should we talk about the button? Should we get Terry Smith's reaction to wearing the Joe 409 button? You guys down for that?
Sure, do it, man.
So the 409, I've always acknowledged Joe Paterno. I wouldn't be here if he hadn't coached me and taught me. So I'm acknowledging him. We had a lot of lettermen here tonight, invaluable positions. Michael Robinson's on the NBC crew. There's other lettermen all over that showed up today. It was just an acknowledgement that I'm proud I've been taught by one of the greatest to ever do it.
It turned heads.
I think the Joe Pa thing plays great in Happy Valley and does not play great anywhere else.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was interesting that he picked this week to do it.
This week.
But I still think it's part of like, hey, I'm going who I am, man.
Yeah.
I may only have one game more to coach, maybe one after that. And I'm showing people who Terry Smith is. And I want to tell you right now, as we're recording this, you know what time it is? 4:09.
4:09.
It was a touchdown. A touchdown.
One of the touchdowns came at 4:09 left in the third quarter. Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
So, I mean, it's weird because I think you have all these players like Michael Robinson who played for Joe, and yet, and we've said this before, you go to a Penn State game, you really don't even know the man ever coached there in some ways. I mean, so I just think I guess we're learning who Terry is a little more each week, and for the most part, I enjoy it. I'm learning about him, and I like it.
I said it plays well in Happy Valley, and it doesn't play not anywhere else. But I don't know that it's a big negative outside of Happy Valley at this point.
You're gonna have your haters. You're gonna have these people that say this and that. You read some of the comments, you look at how old they are, and it's like you were like weren't even an adult when this happened. Like, how much do you actually know about it? And it's society and what we live in. A lot of people talk.
It matters to the player. Yeah, I don't think it matters to the players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking of who Terry Smith is, I'm going to play a video right here. Yeah, this is Terry Smith post-game with Mrs. Terry Smith. They're loving it. Mike, you were in the back of the press box when I was putting it on Instagram. I put a little Marvin Gaye underneath it. It was a moment. It was a great moment, and I loved it. People on Instagram loved it as well.
Any excuse for Marvin Gaye is, I think, is a positive. Run with it, big guy. Well done.
That's what I mean. I mean, you may never get an opportunity like this in your coaching life. Most people never do. No one ever thought, and I think Terry never maybe would have thought he'd ever get this type of opportunity. So you get it, take advantage of it. I think he certainly has as a coach on the field and behind the scenes with his team. So publicly, hey, you might only have a couple weeks. Do it up. This man's coached his whole career. He's given a lot of it to Penn State. If he's like a politician out there a little bit, so be it. That's great. Shake hands, slap backs, kiss babies, point to the fans. I mean, in a way, it's like your whole career. You give so much of your working career to this place that you love, that you played for. Here, you actually have a public forum to kind of show your appreciation and enjoy it in a way that who knows you that could ever get. I mean, good for him.
Yeah, I mean, years from now, I think Terry Smith will look back on this extremely positively, even if, as we suspect, he's not named the next coach.
Right.
Right now, we're going to change gears and we're going to talk a little bit about Rutgers and some great things going on in Jersey. We're pleased to bring in, thanks to wrapping paper in Concha Hockin, the best in your gift-giving experience around the holidays. The great Eric LeGrand joins us, radio voice of the Rutgers football team and an inspiration to everyone across America, joins us here on BlueWhite Tailgate Podcast. Eric, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on and talk a little Rutgers Penn State.
Awesome. It is the rivalry. I know Penn State fans might not want to hear that, but there's a lot of guys from Jersey that come to Penn State. Trey Bauer, frequent guest on the podcast, the Jersey guy, came to Penn State. So we just want to throw that out there, no matter what Penn State fans say. Eric, What does just going off of that? Greg Schiano obviously ties to Penn State Rutgers. What is this rivalry like from the Rutgers side?
Oh well, all right. Let's shoot the real from the Rutgers side. We can't stand Penn State. Just like that, I feel like with Penn State, everyone hates Penn State, but Penn State. That's just what it seems like to me amongst you guys. But look at what you guys have built, man. The legacy that you guys have with that Penn State program. Obviously, past national championships and trying to get back to that level. And Coach Schiano always says, until you beat them, it's really not a rivalry. So, as much as we, as Jersey people, can't stand our Jersey people going to Penn State, it is, something that we need to start getting some wins up in our column so we can really call it a rivalry and really see what that brings out. As you see the Ohio States, Michigans, and things like that nature, like those are, historic rivalries, and we would love to be able to have Rutgers, Penn State like that. That's a dream come true.
Eric, Schiano is a guy who obviously had a lot of impact on your life and continues to. And we think of him as kind of the perfect guy for Rutgers. But in this second stint at Rutgers, it seems like you're treading water a little bit. What looking at it from afar, are you seeing progress? And what has to happen? What has to happen for you guys to get where you want to go?
Listen, we all know we are navigating through the new world of NIL, and the way Coach Schiano was brought up in his first stint was he was a program builder. You get guys in there, you develop those guys, and you turn them into, those 2-3 star players, into players that could play on Sunday. Well, nowadays things are a little bit different. You're hoping to have a guy there for 1 or 2 years to be able to do it, and then the guys that you do get and you develop, you got to hope to keep them. So Rutgers obviously has been slacking in the NIL part of it. We just got a new athletic director with Kelly Zinn and our president, President Tate, who are coming from LSU. And let's just say they are very upfront and personal to say, we're putting NIL right in front of you guys. Like, it's no longer something that you whisper about on the side, like, we need this money, like, do it. No, they're putting it front and center, because in order to compete in nowadays league, you gotta have the money to do it. And it's crazy to say, obviously, because it's this life-changing money for these kids, but people aren't staying a lot in programs, and they're jumping to who's throwing the biggest check at them. Rutgers hasn't been able to throw the biggest check at people, so you're hoping for people's loyalty as you try to develop them from young boys into men, and then you also got to be able to perform on the field. So I have faith with our new athletic administration coming in there that they'll be able to get to that level. But at the end of the day, you still got to go out there and play football. But you get the better players, I think coach will be just fine.
Eric, can you describe how maybe important this game is for Rutgers from the Rutgers standpoint of things? And do you see, these teams have the same records, but I don't know if nationally people think they're in the same place. Do you see a path to a Rutgers victory, or what would you think must happen for that?
They got to be able to stop the run. One thing, Penn State's going to try to run the ball with that two-headed monster you guys have in the backfield. And if Rutgers could find a way to obviously bottle them up a little bit and frustrate them, this has been an up and down year for those kids. You got to think about it. This team was, I guess, would you guys say was the chosen team to win that, to bring you back to the national championship level, and without respect to all the adversity that they had to face throughout this season. You lose your head coach, your guy, your leader. Then you're trying to rally around. You lose over 4 games in a row, just like we did, or something like that. But then you start to bounce back at the end of the year, and you start to, rattle off some wins, and you start to build some confidence in those players. So those guys are going to be ready to play. So on the Rutgers side, we look at it as, this is the Rutgers needs to get to the postseason, because you need those extra practices. You need the bowl game. You need that developmental period with your younger guys to develop them into players. So this game means everything for Rutgers because of that. It's getting to that post. It doesn't matter what bowl game you're in or who you're playing. It's getting that developmental time with your guys, because their injuries have bottled them up so much this season that Coach said in his press conference, I think last week, they haven't been able to do a lot of developmental periods like they like to during the season, because those guys might be out there playing on Saturday with all the injuries that they had faced.
Eric, 15 years ago is when your injury happened. Thanksgiving of that year of 2010 was a monumentous day for you when you asked doctors to be taken off the ventilator and breathe on. When you look back at everything that's happened in 15 years, what's your message people, to young athletes? Because this injury, while rare, it does happen. So when you just look back, just what's the total message to everybody?
I mean, you think back at it's 15 years, the days are long, but the years are short. You know, so much has happened in 15 years, but also, you know, it's kind of went by quick. And also there's days where there have been long days and the tough days and the hard days. But I think it's just being persistent, staying focused on the task at hand. I mean, I attribute a lot of my mental toughness and mental fortitude towards being a football player and the things that I learned at Rutgers under Schiano. You know, when things are going bad and all odds are against you, you stay focused on the task at hand and you keep chopping, you know, staying looking at that one piece on the tree and hitting it over and over and over again until it falls down. So a lot of times in life, and just in general, people nowadays that everything wants instant gratification. No one wants that have or has the discipline to work for a goal, a long-term goal, to keep on going when things aren't going your way. Come with this injury, you get knocked down all different ways, whether if that's obviously physically, but also, you know, whether if it's sicknesses, things you have to look out for, all just a whole new way of life. Been hospitalized with pneumonia 4 different times, you know, been on a ventilator twice. You look at life like that, and then once you start to get better, you feel better, you will have just a profound appreciation on life, and don't let those little things bug you so much. And then obviously, as the Penn State fan base knows very well, and with this injury, Adam Telefero, who was a big, you know, just a huge supporter of mine, and we became really good friends over the years. We love to joke around with the Penn State Rutgers stuff. At the end of the day, we're brothers. We're bonded, obviously, by the game of football, but also in the spinal cord injury community. It's a family that you don't want to be a part of, but once you're in it, we got you for life. And I've learned a lot, and I've drawn a lot of inspiration from Adam and seeing how he lives his life and how much he's been able to overcome over the years. So it motivates me still 15 years later.
Can you quantify how many young athletes you've helped that have reached out to you, being your inspiration?
Yeah, it's been quite. I wish I could put a number on it. I've talked to young athletes. I mean, I do a lot of motivational speaking. I go to different schools, football teams and whatnot. So, I mean, thousands of over the years of young athletes and just, you know, just students in general, just affecting the younger community, trying to give them motivation and inspiration. You know, so much so time is caught up, like as my phone is right here in my face, you know, that's where I have it at, but that's where their heads are always down in their phones. And you kind of miss, you know, the little things in life that you should be appreciating. And I think every time I get to go on a stage and share my story with them and captivate them in the room as I'm telling them my story, I think they walk away with a newfound appreciation on life and living life to the fullest. And also, as athletes, don't ever take for granted the abilities that you have to be able to go out there on the football field, the basketball court, the baseball field. And I think that for the most part, after hearing me speak, they're like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and give it my all, because I'm the true definition of play every play like it's your last play, because you don't know when it's going to be.
Eric, did you, before the accident, did you see yourself as down the road as an entrepreneur? Because you really become one in a lot of areas, right?
I did not. My goal in life was always to make it to the NFL, retire, become a sports broadcaster. That was the goal. Watching, you know, Chris Berman on Monday mornings after Sunday football, and then the sportscasters on ESPN as a kid, you watching. Growing up, I'm like, I want to make it to the NFL, have a nice career, and then I want to become an analyst and be able to travel all around the world, breaking down the game of football. Like, that was my goal in life. Then when this injury happened, obviously life got flipped and turned upside down, but I'm my 14th or 15th season now as a Rutgers radio analyst, which has been awesome. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Rutgers football over the past 15 years or so. And then, you know, that launched me into also doing my motivational speaking. That's why I pay my bills. I do that as a career. Then I launched my businesses over the pandemic after being stuck in the house and bored for so long and having to be precautious because of my level of injury with my lungs. So I ended up launching a coffee business and a whiskey business, you know, with some ideas during the pandemic. And I learned about them, didn't know anything about them, but I made sure that I set myself up for success by surrounding myself with the right people and going on triple Google and learning things that way.
Eric, now I was going to just say, with your situation, what you've been through, everything we know about, what do you think your message can be to others, to help others, to motivate others? Is there something just specifically finite about what you've been through? Do you think that, how do you think you can reach people, help them that way? What's the most important thing for you, do you think?
I try to always leave people with a message at the end, like when I speak, is like, no matter what you're going through in life, whether you're 5 years old or 65 years old, everyone's going to face some sort of adversity. Some may be harder than others, but how you handle that will ultimately define you. How you look it in the eye and go after it instead of running away from it, letting it bottle up, because you learn a lot about yourself when you're going through tough times. You learn how to pick yourself up. You learn how, when you're down, to be able to get out of that, to lean on other people for help, ask for help. And also, you got to realize in life, no matter how bad your situation may be, because we're going to have, bad situations, there's always someone that has it worse. And I seen that when I was in the hospital. I was around that. Yes, my situation sucked. It did. But man, did I see people that didn't have anybody there for them, people dying, people that were 25 years old moving into nursing homes because they didn't have the funds to be able to build a new house or accessible house. Things like that put a lot of things in a perspective for me, and I love to share that, especially with the youth, because I feel like they need to hear that type of stuff, and it gives them kind of a little bit of a wake-up call.
Eric, tell us about the bourbon. I'm a bourbon fan. What's unique about your bourbon?
So it's funny. So the reason why I started Eric LeGrand Kentucky Straight Bourbon was because a lot of times I've been around all over the country and I have a cocktail, and a lot of times people look at me sideways that I'm in a wheelchair drinking a cocktail, and I'm like, hey, just because I'm in a wheelchair doesn't mean I can't enjoy the finer things in life. So I kind of wanted to end that stigma. And I remember I reached out to my good friend Brian Axelrod, who's been in the liquor business for 25 plus years now, working with the likes of Conor McGregor, Jay-Z, and then the big brands like and whatnot. So I said to him, like, I want to start my own spirits business. And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, you and everybody else. And I was like, yeah, I do. I feel like we got something in here. He goes, you know what? Let me sleep on this. Gives me a call the next day. He goes, you know what, Eric? Your story is genuine. It's not going anywhere. You have a great foundation that we want to tie into this. And, I think we should do a bourbon because, one, we both know we knew that we enjoyed bourbon. It fits me. It's tough. It's gritty, something that you drink after a hard, long day of work. You're ready, come home, pour a glass of bourbon, whether that's either on the rocks or if you want to put it in a cocktail. And then it's just something that we can say that we're going to give, money back to the charity by doing it too, with a purpose. And I remember when in the very beginning stages, we were like trying to bring in investors and whatnot, but we didn't have any juice. And Brian's like, be patient, be patient. I'm like, we don't have anything yet to like taste these like investors out. What do we sell them on? And like, you sell them on a dream right now. I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. But come to find out, he goes, you got to be patient, because we were very patient. We got to land on some great juice, working with great partners at a Green River Distillery and Bardstown, which they have been producing some great bourbon for us. And we launched in March of 2023 with our 2.5-year-old bourbon at the time, 88 proof. And we've done different versions of it now with a single barrel 4-year. We just did a collaboration with Rutgers University on October 1st that we just launched. And let's just say it was not easy to, putting a block R on a bottle of bourbon. At Rutgers, there's a lot of holes that you got to jump through in order to use that block R and that logo on a bottle of alcohol. But we were able to get that done, and we made our first edition of the Scarlet Knight series with that block R right on it. And we're just so excited to see where this brand is growing to and the people that are supporting it, and just all the different versions that we've done. And it's a very versatile category. So we have cash strength bourbons that we did and aging process. It's been a lot of fun. Let's just say that.
Nice.
Eric, 2 questions. Go Frank.
Now, I was going to say a decade ago, Penn State, I think it was Penn State's first game to Rutgers, 2014. Okay. I had the pleasure of eating one of the largest, messiest sandwiches I've ever had in my life, and it was named after you, sir.
Yeah.
Is that still around? Is that still available? Can I still look that up?
So that's we're known for years upon years out here in Jersey, the grease trucks. And it used to be a parking lot where it was just 3 or 4 food trucks. This is back in the day when the good old times, when there was all these pictures on the wall of college students that would come out there and they would all be all liquored up and having a great time, and you get a fat sandwich at the end of the night. And this fat sandwich includes everything that you could think possible on it: cheeseburger, mozzarella sticks, chicken fingers, grilled chicken, French fries, all on one sandwich, lettuce, tomatoes. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, with obviously joining the Big Ten and Rutgers upgrading their campuses, they put a bunch of dorms there, but they do have a brick and mortar there now. It's called Are You Hungry? And they still make the grease truck sandwich. Just me, I'm the old school type. I love being able to pull up into the parking lot, going up to the actual grease truck and ordering a sandwich. But if you go to the brick and mortar, it's just as good. And it's funny, they named the sandwich after me. I still laugh at it because I actually respect it. What I used to get is called a Fat Betty Boy, and I would get it with no marinara sauce with ketchup, and that's a cheeseburger with French fries. It was grilled chicken and mozzarella sticks, and I put ketchup on it. And I would tear it up, and they wanted to make a sandwich after me. And I said, "Can you name that one?" That's what I've been getting. They were like, "No, like we don't change our names of the sandwiches. Like that's the Fat Betty Boy." And they made up a sandwich for me that I'm not gonna lie, I don't even eat that one. But I respect it because they wouldn't change it because of me. I was like, you know what? I respect it. It's been the name forever. You keep the name, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even gonna eat my own name in the sandwich, but people do.
Eric, you got a podcast, the Believe podcast, a cup of Believe podcast, obviously after coffee. I'm looking at the guest list here: Tom Rinaldi, Doug Ellen, Entourage, correct? You got Liv Morgan, Entourage Knowledge. I like that. Respect the game on that one. All right, so podcasting, bourbon, or coffee. What's the favorite business? And I just want to point out that I am wearing a LeGrand Coffee House shirt, show it off through the back for everybody. Where can you get all your products? The bourbon, obviously we know where to get the podcast stuff, but the bourbon and the coffee.
I would say my favorite one is the days that they don't give me gray hairs. So how about that one? That's my favorite. Whatever, depending on the day, the one that's not giving me the most gray hair that day is my favorite one. But so the Grand Coffee House, we launched that, and my online store in January 2021, and then our brick and mortar in Woodbridge opened up in May of 2022. And we wanted to bring unity to the community with a daily cup of Believe. At that time, the world was just so against each other. One would hate each other. I wanted to find a way to bring people together. So what better way than over a cup of coffee? So we've seen that grow over the years, and just, serving up the coffee throughout the entire country by our online store and the people that come into our brick and mortar every single day. Like, I'm so thankful for them. And then obviously now the whiskey, we're in 4 different states, but our bread and butter is right here in New Jersey. Like we're available in New York, Massachusetts, Kentucky, as well as New Jersey. But we've been able to really build and gain momentum here at home in New Jersey, pushing that out. And then a couple of Believe podcasts. Yeah, we're actually getting ready to start filming season 3 in December. We had some great guests on there for the first 2 seasons that came out with some heavy hitters. So just got to continue to push that forward and get some great guests and some great conversations on there. But yeah, whatever. Like I said, my favorite one is the one that doesn't give me the gray hairs at the end of the day.
Final one for me. It's Small Business Saturday on Saturday during the Penn State game. Anywhere around the stadium for folks to pick up coffee or the bourbon.
So we don't sell on the course anymore. If you want to, we're about 20 minutes away from the stadium. So you've been there before, and if you want to stop by the coffee shop, come on by. We're about 20 minutes in Woodbridge, New Jersey. And you can look us up. You'll find our address on there. Bourbon, if you're in the premium seats, you can sip on the bourbon there. That's in the Provident Bank Club where they have it, or just go around the parking lot. I promise you'll find a bottle at a tailgate. That is for sure.
And if you're not sitting there, bring the BS and talk away, and that's the way you get a bourbon. So, all right, guys, anything for Eric?
I'm good.
Good. Great meeting you, Eric.
Yeah,
Great talking.
Eric. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. And Yeah, looking. Hopefully, we have a great game on Saturday. Like I said, you guys won the past two. Now, then you guys are looking to get into that season with, you got to give those kids credit for fighting back for what they've been through this year. And I'm hoping Rutgers, we've had our share of adversity too. So let's have a rivalry type game and make it fun and go on you.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eric LeGrand. Eric, that's a great message. You say fighting back. I'm not going to lie. I got emotional at times listening to you talk, especially about the motivational speaking to younger athletes. We thank you for coming on BlueWhite Tailgate podcast, and we wish you all the best and can't wait to catch up to you in person down there at the stadium on Saturday. Man.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Great guest. What a great message from Eric LeGrand. Been through so much over the last 15 years and really inspirational, guys, just here talking. And I was getting emotional as he was talking about all the influences he's had on young athletes.
It's interesting how he has had a second act to his life. It's been, it's really a cool story. It's
incredible. He's like a businessman I could never imagine being. He's like in 5, 6, 7 different entrepreneur roles. I mean, now he's got bourbon coming out. I mean, I gotta, his sandwich was incredible. Now that was like 10 years ago. I mean, so I'm looking forward to going back to Rutgers to experience it all here coming up Saturday.
Rutgers, as long as it's not like that game in 2016 where the snow just came out and it was completely crazy. The field was covered. That was insane. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
One of the greatest weather experiences in my Penn State career that day, that night. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it was so warm. It was like shorts weather before that game too. It's crazy.
That was a weird one.
Teams fighting for a spot possibly in the Pinstripe Bowl to get bowl eligible. Accountability has been huge. Penn State has to be accountable one more time. Here's Dennis-Sutton on the change in accountability in the locker room.
And I love it. Every day in practice, he's good, bad plays, whoever. And I told him when he first got the job, I want him to hold me accountable, hold all of us older guys accountable, and make an example of us when we do make a mistake, whether big, small, whatever it is. Because I remember when I was a young guy, older guys make mistakes and it just goes unrecognized. But if a young guy makes a mistake, it's like the end of the world. So I know it's like to be a young guy. So Coach Terry holding all of us older guys accountable, it makes it easier to hold the young guys accountable.
It's a big week for accountability because you're feeling all these positive vibes and maybe you're thinking, this is easy. This is how it should have been. You could go down there, you don't bring your best. You get punched in the face like you did out at UCLA.
I thought it was a lot of players said essentially what Dennis-Sutton just said there. And it's interesting because the implication is that did not happen under James Franklin, right? And maybe the older guys kind of got a little bit of a pass under James Franklin. And again, I talked to the offensive line. All 5 of them were up there together, and they all said that. They all made a point of talking about that and how it allows the older guys to kind of demonstrate to the younger guys what it's like to be coached. I thought that was significant.
Yeah, and there might be a fine line between, James had a really experienced, trusted core group of players coming back. And I hate to say you lose your edge sometimes with that type of trust in those guys, but maybe that is part of this. And Terry came in with an edge from everything we saw. And you have to, right? What position could you take otherwise when your team is free falling? You got to stomp it down and give an edge to everybody, but it worked. And I think the biggest thing is, would you know that would work in this scenario? But it did. It seems like they've embraced it, not fought it, embraced it. And it's impressive.
Well, maybe given the meltdown, post meltdown, maybe the guys are more amenable to it, right?
Yes.
Maybe that's part of it.
Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I did talk to one of the parents. I know I'm not supposed to. It was, again, we were sitting down at a table next to each other. And what was said was after the long season last year, a lot of guys were given time off, and it was like, oh, well, they're accountable. They're going to handle everything, and they weren't worked as hard in the off season as they were the previous year. And the parent was kind of, hinting at that was the reason for the slow start and the accountability being different. And so I can't get that out of my head when I hear the players talk about the different level in accountability and holding the older guys accountable. Every time I hear holding the older guys accountable and the star players accountable, I go back to what that parent said to me when I happen to be sitting at a table next to them. And again, not identifying the parent.
You know who else said that? James Franklin. James Franklin said we're going to, and I think part of it was looking at the schedule and seeing those first three opponents, and we can kind of ease our way into this. And there's that dreaded NBA term, load management, comes to mind with the veteran guys, and maybe there was an element of that. Maybe that was a miscalculation on James's part, and probably on the staff's part, probably on the sports science people, maybe. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. Nobody knows. You don't know. It's intangible, but it seems plausible to me. I don't know.
Absolutely. And I think they did not push the right buttons with this team. How would you go back and exactly take it all back and do it differently? That's a question, because they did face an unprecedented schedule last year where they played 16 games deep into January. And so, it looked like they attempted to make up for that in certain ways, and it did not work. Why? The why is still, I think it's maybe just a multitude of different things, but the why is what people will talk about. Not just now, after the new coach is hired, and probably the entire offseason. That's how big of a letdown and miscalculation this season was. It's not going away. The discussion of it is not going away.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then the other thing about that is, I remember James saying, well, we had a lot of guys that were hurt in the offseason, and now they're working their way back early in the year. So it's almost like they're getting healthier the first couple weeks of the season. So that maybe is another thing that led him to, let's sort of pace ourselves a little bit here. And that may have been, in retrospect, I guess we are second guessing here. A lot of times when they blame us for second guessing, we're really first guessing. But in this case, we're second guessing it. That might have been a mistake.
You think Penn State's going to come out with the fire as the guys have talked? Do you feel that the fire is going to be there, much like we just saw against Nebraska?
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Holiday weekend.
Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't be. And Rutgers is not that good. They're one of the least talented teams in the Big Ten, I think. And they're playing for bowl eligibility too. I mean, Schiano, I know they're going to show up. And based on what I've seen the last couple of weeks, I don't have any reason to think Penn State won't either.
Penn State just needed to be able to take all their talent and get it working in the right direction together at the same time, in the same way. And it took them 2.5 months to do it. But it's like, to me, it was the Indiana game where it finally really started to click. Like, all of that talent we were supposedly writing about for months and experience finally kind of came together in its own way. And since then, that hasn't been a question. So I think you're looking at teams with the same records in way different places right now. I think Penn State will bring the energy. I think they just got to run the same game plan, right? Dominate up front, both sides of the ball, bring the heat on defense. Rutgers has not done a good job of protecting their quarterback, for one. And their defense is not ranked very well. I think they have one of the worst pass efficiency defenses in the country. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for Penn State to do the same thing they did last week.
Time now to pick the game. Penn State versus Rutgers. I didn't look up at the line, but Penn State is favored. I do know that. Do you guys know the line off the top of your head? 6.5, 7?
13.5 today, I think.
14.5. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Probably should have looked that one up. The roulette table hates me on Atlantic City. That I know. So,
Can you play? No skill at all.
not well. I walk up there and one guy said to me, wah, wah, wah. Like, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, no shot.
all right. How do we see this one playing out? I'll go first because I feel like I always ride your guys' coattails. We were all pretty much on it last week. I think we were all a little undersold Penn State's offense. I'm going to go pretty much similar to last week. I'm going to take 38-13 State. They get bowl eligible. Terry Smith gets carried off the field.
I'm going to go 33-10. I think pass rush is going to be a big element in this one in Penn State's favor.
Yeah, I'm right there. I think my official prediction was 31-14. I could see Rutgers not scoring that many points, depending on how Penn State's defense reacts early, because there are sometimes a little bit of adjustment period at the beginning of the game. We saw that on the 52-yard run that we never saw again last week. So if they do a decent job at the beginning, Rutgers could be not scoring very many points on Saturday.
Adjustments. Surely you say that in jest after the UCLA.
Well, this is a tale of many seasons, Andrew.
Yeah, this season contains multitudes. As
Multiple leaders, not just at head coach. It literally seems like maybe even offense and defense were led by different men at times. So anyway.
And Pat Kraft became Jerry Jones. He's all out there. He's everywhere. Press conference, everything. He's doing it all.
Yeah.
All right, that does. We want
a Penn State coach that's going to get what, $15 million a year, possibly, right? Talk about tunes.
Absolutely. Great show. Want to thank Eric LeGrand for coming on. If you're going down to the game in Jersey to the home of the Scarlet Knights, make sure you stop by. Eric's going to be on a broadcast, and then you have a Grand Coffee House. Again, I think the world of Eric LeGrand. So if you have a chance to support him, I'm fully on board with that. I want to thank Rapp and Paper for coming on board. And remember, follow us, email the show, BlueWhite Tailgate podcast@gmail.com. Once again, we will see you after the game on Saturday, assuming all of our deadlines are in order. You'll get the trio of us here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.